everybody thinks you're fine. And it's so crazy because people don't see the pain. I stayed silent for so long and I
Mm-mm.
held it for 18 years. Our darkest moment or transformation comes from our darkest moments and from pain. Make something good out of it.
Hi, and welcome to the Bouncing Back podcast. I'm your host, Melissa McCurley, and after my own battle with autoimmune disease, I created this podcast to share strategies, tools, and inspiring stories to help professionals who navigate life and business with chronic illness. Please be sure to join our Facebook community, Bouncing Back Podcast, where we continue this conversation. I'm incredibly excited to introduce you today to our special guest, Tiffaney Childers. She's an author, speaker, and advocate helping people to navigate life after trauma and chronic pain. Her book focuses on reclaiming life after the effects of suicide and her own personal journey with chronic regional pain syndrome deeply informs her work and her life. Tiffaney, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm so honored to have you, and thank you for coming on and being willing to share so much of your personal story and your deeply, deeply meaningful work. Well, let's just start with if you would share your story of chronic pain. Let's open with that and what that looks like in your life, how it showed up for you, and go from there.
Okay, so it was about a year. It's probably been a year and a half now. So I'm pretty new to the chronic pain
Okay.
realm. So I had a hip surgery. It was just a normal hip surgery. I had a labral tear repair after years of being hard on my body, and it was unsuccessful. But
Mm.
from that, I ended up getting what's called CRPS, which is chronic regional pain syndrome. I had never heard of it ever in my life, did not know what it was. So of course you have hip pain after your surgery, but this pain was in my right foot. The hip surgery was in my left hip. So I kept thinking, what is going
Mm.
on here? It was my toes. They were on fire. It felt like my whole foot was in an ant bed. I could not figure out it was the worst pain I think I've ever felt. And I've felt a lot of pain. So what CRPS is like a rare neurological condition that causes like severe debilitating chronic pain in a limb, usually following a surgery or an injury. It could be, a sprain or a surgery or um, just anything small. And the pain is horrific. So it's believed to be like a malfunction of the peripheral nervous system and your central nervous
Okay.
system, is what I gathered. And it took me a long time. Probably 6 months, 6 to 7 months to even get diagnosed, because I
Wow.
went from doctor to doctor to doctor, and I don't
Mm.
know what it is. I don't know what it is. Oh, it could be nerve damage. And, nerves take a really, really, really long time to heal. And, go to the neurologist. The neurologist was like, nope, it's your back. It's whatever's in your feet. It's your back. So I had an MRI of my back. Nope, it went to a doctor. It's 1000% not your back. So it took a long time to get diagnosed. So
Okay.
finally, I was diagnosed with it. They say it is permanent. They said it's
Mm.
never not going anywhere.
Wow.
I
And
can't
so
say the
do you
pain has
treat
got better,
it?
but
Mm.
they sent me to pain clinic and they put me on everything known to man: gabapentin, Lyrica, tramadol, oxy, hydros,
Oh.
ropinirole. I mean, just everything that you could possibly imagine. And I said no, thank you. They wanted to do the spinal cord stimulator. I said no, thank you. After doing a lot of research, um, so I had to get back to the basics and go back to the basics and really, I'd never dealt with this before. I mean, I know that's kind of crazy to say, but I had to go back to the whole nervous system. I didn't even know that you could
Yeah.
regulate your nervous system. I'm 51 years old and I didn't even know that you could do that. And now I know it's all over Instagram and all over Facebook and all over the internet on ways that you can do this. But I really had to get back to the basics and really calm myself. I'm the kind of person that burned the candle at both ends. I never stopped.
Yes.
Never
Yes, I can
stopped.
identify with that.
Uh-huh. I know. I think that's a generational thing. You watch your parents do it, and we just burn the candle at both ends and work ourselves to death. But technically, I'm an accountant, and so it's really, really busy season for me right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's my day job. But I ended up writing a book. I do believe that this chronic pain has stems from emotional trauma, burying emotional trauma for the last 18 years. So,
There's always the sort of inciting event, like you had the hip surgery, but when you dig into it, I've had a lot of guests come speak about trauma from the medical side, from the receiving end of a disease, that seed that's there from a big T trauma maybe is why you got it when somebody else didn't. There's that inciting situation, but at the end of the day, it was like it was a loaded gun.
yeah.
So
And it
do you
was
have
like
practices?
the door. It was like a door opened when the hip
Yeah.
surgery happened to open up the pain. Yeah.
Yeah, there it was, just waiting to suck.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. So do you have practices you do to reset your nervous system? Do you have things you incorporate into your work day, into your
Oh, yeah.
life?
Oh, yes. And it was really hard for me to walk. Like I can't really stand anything touching it. I forget the name of that. It starts with
Mm,
an A, but I couldn't stand anything touching it, sheets or socks or shoes. So I really had to
mm.
figure out how I could wear shoes so I could go to work. Had to figure out how I could even work a full 8-hour day because my pain was so bad. I was so tired. I mean, it literally
Yeah.
sucked all the energy out of me. Talk about fear of the future. I didn't know if I could even work a 4-hour day.
Yeah.
So, desensitizing where I could at least get a shoe on. I can only wear one kind of shoe. So I do, all my journaling in the morning, kind of set the tone. I try not to look at my phone. I try to eat way better than I used to, cut alcohol out completely, which that was a huge part of my life for 18 years. Cut that out completely. I get 10,000 steps a day. That's a non negotiable.
Good
I
for
don't care
you.
if it's rain, shine, cold. I will get 10,000 steps a day. Um, that's about all I can do right now. I can't do any more working out than that because my surgery was unsuccessful, plus the pain in my foot. But I have this fear I won't be able to walk someday. So now I'm obsessed with walking.
Yeah, so you're getting
So,
10,000 steps
um,
living with high levels of chronic pain. That is
yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, no,
That
I
is
haven't always do
impressive.
up the 10,000 steps. I couldn't even walk to the mailbox, which was right in front of my house.
Yeah.
And I want everybody to know that you can't start, you have to start small and it's just small, consistent actions that you have to take. I knew I couldn't go the route of pills. I just knew I couldn't. Going back 18 years, both my mother and my father, I lost them to suicide a year apart from each other.
Okay.
So my mother, they had put on an arsenal of pills. She had back problems,
Mm.
hip problems. She had multiple sclerosis, so they had put her on pills. That was back when hydros were just coming out, were very popular. Oxy was just coming out, methadone patches, all of the
Mm.
above. And you can see where that ended.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was standing on the edge of the cliff, the same cliff that she stood on, and
Yeah.
eventually took her life. And it's sad. It's sad. And I don't know if we can go into all the things about pills on this
Well, I think we
podcast.
see. Well, I mean, that's probably could probably talk a whole day on it, but I think we're seeing that.
Yeah,
I come from a family of addiction, and
yeah,
that's been a very big
yeah.
conversation in my head. I have psoriatic arthritis. That's a painful condition, and I'm in a better place with it than I've been since 2020. But at its worst, similar. It's an arthritis in all your connective tissue, so it's literally all over your body all the time. I got off gluten. I got off. Not that I drink. I actually didn't drink much alcohol because I came from such an addictive background. But I did all the
Yeah,
things I could do, and I was still at like a level 7. I'm with you, and I could only work part time.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there is no scenario under which I'm going to take those pills. Like I just, I'm with you. It's like when you've lived that, and we're seeing in the opioid epidemic in our
It's
country, it's
awful.
it's just a hellscape,
It is.
and
It is.
once you get on it, yeah, yeah. So anything you want to add to that? I think a lot of people in
Yeah,
our community have experienced through their direct family members or friend
yeah,
that trajectory, and we don't know what the answer is, but we know it's not that.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. And I think that when you're in pain, you are very vulnerable and you will do
Yes.
anything to get out of pain. And if a doctor says take this pill, you take it. I took gabapentin and I thought, I don't even know what's happening. I don't even know what's going on during the day. It literally made me feel like I was drunk. And
Wow.
then he said, stop the gabapentin, start taking the Lyrica. Oh, that was even worse. There's no way I could have even gone to work and done a tax return on gabapentin or Lyrica. So I knew that wasn't an option. Yeah, I think pills are replacing people now. And I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that you shouldn't ever take a pill, but you have to be informed about what you're taking and really study what you're taking and look at other people's experiences and what they've had with the same pill because it will rewire your brain, I think. I mean, I
Yeah.
could be.
And one of the questions I ask is like, what's the trajectory here? Are you just going to prescribe
Yeah,
me this and this is just the
yeah,
deal? Like, is this a
yeah,
short, like, I think that's an important question to ask is like, what is this? Is this a 3 month thing to get inflammation levels down? Like, help me understand if this is just sort of the solution, an open ended thing. We know where that ends because you need more and you need more and you adjust. And well, have you used it all like CBD? I'm in Texas, so it's not legal here for any THC products, but oh, you're in Texas too. But I actually have imported, and I'm a little worried because I know this thing's up for like, debate right now in I think it's the House, but I actually import 500 I take 500 milligrams of CBD, yeah, that doesn't have THC that I have legally imported from Colorado, and that
yeah,
helps.
yeah,
Nothing's a silver bullet, but everything stacks. Have
yeah.
you tried that at all?
I haven't. Mm-mm. I wouldn't even know where to get it.
Well, Natural Wellness out of Colorado. The lady has fibromyalgia, and her own pain journey for 20 plus years sought her looking for relief, and it's all non-THC. They have 3 store locations in Colorado, and I discovered it visiting Estes Park with my parents, and she ships. And so yeah, I do 500 milligrams, which is, people say, oh, you don't have the right dose. No, that's what I do. It's the milligrams twice a day,
Yeah,
and it takes the edge off.
yeah,
Does that make
yeah.
sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. It does make sense. Yeah, you just have to find what works for you. And I'm still so new to this chronic pain that I'm still finding what works for me.
Yeah.
But no, I have not tried that. That's
You might
interesting.
check it out. It was I'm 6 years in
Um,
and I feel like I'm really new. I feel
yeah,
like I've barely
yeah,
scratched the surface.
yeah,
Well, circling back to your book, I know that pain and dealing with pain has been, it sounds like a theme in your life, emotional pain, the outfalling of the physical pain of your parents. Could you share a little bit about that journey and how it's manifested in a book and the advocacy that you're
hmm
addressing and working on through that mission, that work?
hmm So yeah, I lost my parents 18 years ago, so it's been a long journey, and I shoved everything down. I did not deal with it. I shoved it down. I had small kids. I was raising kids and trying to work, and I didn't have time to deal with suicide. Plus, there wasn't any kind of frame of reference back then. This was
Yeah.
18 years ago. It was very hush hush. You didn't talk about it. You just said they died. That was that. So now I've been on what's called the loss team for about 6 years, and I'm an advocate with them. We go on call, and loss stands for local outreach to suicide survivors. So when
Okay.
the police officers call us, we go on scene to suicide calls within about
Wow.
15 minutes, and we help loved ones left behind navigate the worst day of their life.
I just got
We're
goosebumps.
not there to preach. We're not
Yeah.
there to say, do this, do that. We're there just as kind of the ministry of presence. Like, hey, I've been there. I've done that. What
Yeah.
can I do for you? Can I call anyone? Can I let the dogs out? We
Yeah.
give them a binder of things like how to write an obituary, what kind of support groups we have here in Amarillo, what kind of therapy, just how to talk to kids. And that's a lot in my book too, because, I
Wow.
had small kids when, my parents chose to do this, and I didn't know what to say to them, so we just didn't say anything. And which
Yeah.
is horrible because they create a whole scenario of what they think might happen, which is probably worse than telling them the truth. But so we do that. We just give them information. So yeah, I'm an advocate and I do
What a
that now. I've done
blessing.
that for 6 years. And
I can only imagine standing there in a situation like that, just having no idea what to do, how to feel, how to articulate, and then have somebody step in who's been there to just say, I'm here, I see you, I've been there too, take the next breath or whatever. What incredible work. Is this a national organization? Is this
it
look,
is. It's
it's
national.
national. Okay.
And so you can go to lostteam.com and see if there's one in your area. And so we started one in Amarillo, like I said, about 6 years ago. So
Okay.
it's a very needed program, which is sad, and it makes me incredibly sad, but
Yeah.
it's very needed
Yeah.
because we're
Well,
trying to get people to take care of themselves and go seek help. And usually it's about 4.5 years before any kind of survivor seeks help, and we're trying to get that to like
wow.
4.5 months.
Yeah,
So
for
things
sure.
don't happen down the road where you shove everything down like me and
We
end up
learn
with
about that.
pain that
Chronic illness.
cannot get rid of. I never
Yeah.
dreamed. I never knew,
The
you know?
connection, between people who have some kind of chronic, autoimmune, whatever, and
Mhm.
and a big T trauma in life, particularly earlier in life, but it can come different,
Yeah,
is definitely there. It's
yeah,
and the regulation of the nervous system and how that gets sort of dysregulated from an early age or completely from an event like that. Well,
yeah,
for you mentioned you come on site for
mhm,
somebody, and I'm thinking of people who have friends that have been or in the future will be affected or family members by a suicide after the fact. A week later, 2 weeks later, can they reach out to you? Is this still
oh,
a
absolutely.
resource for? Okay,
Absolutely.
so at
We
any
always do.
stage.
Yeah, if we can't go on scene, we'll do a delayed call. We'll either go visit with the family or we'll call them on the
Okay,
phone or we'll mail them information.
okay,
Absolutely. Yes.
okay. So at any stage,
Any
somebody
stage.
affected by.
Any
Okay,
stage.
wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um, what has come of your book? I know you're doing some speaking. How has that hooked into, because that's sort of a one to many. You showing up in a scene or doing a meeting is a one to one, but books lets you be one to many to
Yeah.
outreach to people. How
Yeah.
is that working for you?
Well, after had this hip surgery and started having all this chronic pain, I thought, okay, I've got to journal because I needed to get all my feelings out of my body. I thought, okay, I got to just get it out on paper. And I journaled into a whole entire book. So I stayed silent for so long. I think suicide loss is such a heavy subject that nobody wants to talk about. And I don't even want to talk about it. So, of course, nobody else does. But
Yeah,
I think I learned for 18 years to kind of stay silent. There was a lot of people that never knew I lost my parents because I never said anything.
yeah,
And all of that silence, I thought, okay, I've got to talk about it. It's time to talk about it. It's time to help other people. And, my story's not perfect, but it's very authentic. And I'm very genuine about helping others in the same position as I was navigate life after suicide loss and talk about it. We have to
wow.
talk about it more. I think it's just such a taboo subject and the shame and the stigma that comes along with it. It's embarrassing.
And
There's
that's
no
crazy to me
easy way
because
to
it's
package that.
yeah. Well, I think mostly people don't know how to respond to it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
if people who have experienced it feel an awkwardness, I think probably
Yeah.
it's coming from the other person just not having a frame for discussion, not that there's
Yeah.
judgment. I know it's such a problem in our military community,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
epidemic levels. I know young
Mhm.
people lately, like,
Mhm.
yeah, learning. That's my mission with this podcast is to rip off the band-aid of shame around chronic illness in the workplace.
Yeah.
Same thing, and a
Yeah.
lot of it, I think it's as much of a healing tool for me to process this, and also just it seems like you and I both have an innate desire to share. Like if I've learned
Mm.
something and I've experienced pain from something, if I can help
Mm.
lessen that pain threshold or timeline for
Yeah.
somebody else, then it makes meaning out of what I am
Yeah.
experiencing, and I want to do that.
Yeah, because I know I was searching for anything that I could when I found this or when I got this, and I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find
Yeah.
anything. I found a lot of people that have done the ketamine treatments, which scares me to death. But
Yeah.
A lot of people did the spinal cord stimulators, and then a lot of people are like, oh, it's all in your brain, it's all in your head, and you need to rewire your brain to get out of this pain. Well, then that's fine and dandy, but then you get stuck in this loop of, oh my gosh, what's wrong with my brain? Why is my brain bad? What do I do? How do I get out of this pain? And then your pain is just in a complete and total flare because you're
Stressing.
constantly stuck in this loop of what's wrong with me? Why isn't this working? Why, it's
Yep.
such a sick cycle.
Yeah. Did you find journaling help you get out of that? I know it
Oh,
helped me a
oh,
lot.
yes. Oh,
Like the mental game was just as
absolutely.
painful sometimes as the physical one.
Yes, it is. And I had to
Yeah.
just get it out of my body and get it on paper. I mean, you can't hold all that. And I
Mm-mm.
held it for 18 years, and
And it
there's a
makes the pain
lot of
worse.
stuff. Uh-huh. There's a lot
It
of
makes the
stuff I
pain
needed to
worse.
get out. A lot of
Yeah,
anger, a
for
lot of
sure.
sadness, a lot of confusion. Um, that I needed to get out. And I'm so old school. I want it on paper. I can't type it. I can't
Oh, yeah, I'm
say
the
it.
same
I
way.
want it on paper where I can see it and it's coming through a pen and my hand. So,
There's some studies that point to, and I, of course, can't name them offhand, but I know there are a couple about the actual connection with your brain, of the hand brain connection. It is deeper and more profound for rewiring, for therapy, than
mhm,
the typing. All the
mhm.
young people can disagree all day, and
I know.
I'm open to other studies, but I know that there have been some
I
studies that
know.
actually show that. And maybe it's just in our generation. I don't know, because how we're raised, but I
Yeah,
do think there's a flow there
I
that
think so
works.
too. Between the brain
Yeah,
and then the hand. I do too. I really do.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm still
Um,
navigating all of this. So I would love any
there's a
tips.
lot. Yeah, there's a lot. I interviewed a woman. She was one of my first five guests. Her name's Athena Brownson. She's a realtor in Colorado, and she got Lyme disease. She was a professional, like Olympian skier, and she got Lyme disease, and it completely. And she has a lot of nerve stuff where she has to wear gloves because she gets burns on her hands. And she's a realtor,
Hmm.
right? So we have to write
Hmm.
contracts all day. So she has to do them in these gloves because she can't have electromagnetic. And she has a lot of pain, and she's done a lot of work. She's a couple years ahead of the curve on. She's been doing this for a few years, working with somebody in Colorado to rewire the neural pathways for pain management. So you might check out the episode because she talked a lot about it. It was the first time I'd heard that. And I kind of have a pin in that of like, ooh, need to do more research on this,
Yeah.
along with my
Well,
business day and along with my things. But it was interesting.
yeah.
And she's been doing that for a while and getting some results. So,
That is
um,
interesting. I had gone to holistic doctor and they kind of tried something like that where you wear the headphones, you put little things on your earlobes that's like vibration, and then you
okay.
wear these goggles that have all these I don't know things that you see like
Okay.
colors and shapes and sizes
Okay.
and all of that. So but the
Interesting.
thing is you have to do it daily for, I'm going to say it was like 60 days. And I was right smack in the middle of tax season. And I was like, oh, there's no way. I mean,
Yeah.
so I probably did it about 25 days and it did help lessen my pain because I think it got my mind off of it. And then
Mm.
I think I spent so much money. I mean, you will spend your life savings trying to get out of
Oh, I
pain.
know.
Holistic, whatever anything anybody offers you, okay, let's try it. So number
Let me
one, I had
try
to
it.
replenish my cash flow and kind of stop doing some things. And I think that's when my pain kind of started getting where I could manage it,
Gotcha.
better, I should say, and I could manage it better where it
Yeah.
wasn't constant, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? That panic. So
Yeah.
once I kind of quit thinking about it and like, okay, let's go to work as long as I can. Luckily, I had a great boss. Let me just work as much as
Uh,
I can, rest when I can, do what I can, and then I'm happy to be just happy with that.
yeah.
So that helped. And it's not
Yeah.
as intense, I should say. But there are
Have you
some
been
days
able
when I
to?
can't.
I was gonna say, do you have flare ups? Do you have to kind
Mhm.
of build in time for that and the recoup and the?
Mhm.
Are you figuring out your boundaries of like, ooh, I overdid, and so now I got to
Mhm.
take a day?
Mhm. I keep a whole journal. I had a horrible flare up the other day, and I thought, I don't know what I've done. I didn't do anything different than I did the day before. But I do keep a
And that
journal.
and that in of itself can be traumatic because
It
it's great
is.
when we can connect the dots. If you're like, okay, I ate that sugar, or I had,
Yeah,
you're like,
I
okay,
did
that's on
that.
me. But
Or
there are
yeah,
days where it doesn't, and you're just like, okay.
yeah. I know. What am I doing? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's interesting. So,
Do you think, are you connecting any dots, or what are the most profound dots, I guess I should say, you're connecting between the trauma with your parents and this cycle? It sounds like they had a cycle of trauma, right, that led to their decisions. Now you're in a season of life where you have a cycle of trauma. You're making different decisions. You're showing up differently. There's different tools available to us now, right? But
yeah.
how does that feel, those parallels?
Yeah. Oh, and a lot of parallels, And my mother did have a cycle of trauma, but she also had a cycle of being on all pills. And pills
Yeah.
can rewire your brain to make you think, I don't need to be on this earth anymore. It's proven. All these pills,
Yeah.
antidepressants, it is proven that you are not supposed to take those long term. You're supposed to take them for acute depression, and it will rewire your brain, and especially in young children, to think, I don't need to be on this earth anymore. So yeah, so talk about, I felt like I had come full circle, and I've been so angry with her for so many years. I was like, wow, okay, now I get it. Now I get it. Of course, she took all the pills and everything, and then you're just searching for more, and you still have pain. It never took care of the pain. And anyways, my dad was a complete different story. I have absolutely no idea. Just completely shocking when his happened. But yeah, it's like I've come full circle here. And I had no idea that, the trauma of both of them taking their life would come full circle back to me and come out as physical pain. So, and my
That's,
emotional pain completely came out as physical pain. I
yeah.
truly believe that. And I didn't
Yeah,
even know
for
what
sure.
to do that. So, like I said, I'm still like, I'm just, wow, shocked.
It
But
is.
at least there's more information on it now.
Yeah, for sure. And I know their generation. I'm about I'm your age too, and my parents are.
Yeah.
If a doctor says something, man, like that's what you do. And I have a lot of
Yeah.
respect for doctors, and I've gotten a
Oh, me
tremendous amount of.
too.
I'm not knocking. I'm not one. I'm not like only holistic or only Western. I think
Yeah.
all of it, like all of it, has a place, and all of it's a part of the
Yeah.
conversation, and we're all figuring
Yeah.
this out together, right? The epidemic of chronic disease that apparently we're
Yeah.
entering, but I know with their generation, if a doctor said take these meds,
It was that blind trust.
full
That
faith,
blind trust.
blind trust,
Mm-hmm.
blind trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And doctors relied too, to their credit, on a lot of pharmaceutical
Oh, I think
information,
so
which
too.
is so, I don't know,
I think they
twisted.
weren't told the full story of the effects that it could have on people and the addiction
Yep.
that it could cause. And I think, back in the day, some doctors even got addicted because they had no idea that that was even a possibility. So, yeah, I mean, luckily we have a lot more information out there. Sometimes I think it's information overload as far as, what you can do and the
Yeah.
things that we can do. But there wasn't a lot of information on CRPS. So I kind of just had to find people who had it and talk to them. And, even the doctors didn't know. The surgeon had no idea. He was like, I've never even heard of that. I'm like,
Wow.
oh, well, that's interesting. So
And now
it's
you've
not,
plugged into the community.
yeah, yeah. So,
Well, if you had that thought experiment, if you had a magic paintbrush and you were able to sort of direct your trajectory, and the impact that you can have on the world with this experience that you're walking now, that's a part of your life, what would that be? What would be your ideal outcome
for myself,
for yourself and for
or,
the world? Yeah, both.
oh, I just think you have to find joy even through chronic pain. You have to find joy. You have to find gratitude. You have to find the little things to be thankful for, or you could spend your whole life in that circle of the victim mentality. Because trust me, I was in the victim mentality for about 18 years. And so I believe me, been there, done that. And you just have to be grateful for what you do get to do during the day, and just have gratitude and joy. And I think that that can really help your mindset
I think that's
instead of the poor
extraordinary.
pitiful me. Yeah.
I
I didn't
wish
even know that was even possible.
I wish so many of us didn't have to go through a pain journey to figure that out. Like,
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
could just bottle it and share it with other
Exactly.
people.
Put it on the shelf for a rainy day or bottle it up when you talk to somebody. I know. And it's so crazy because people don't see the pain. Everybody thinks you're fine. It's an invisible pain.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And sometimes
That's
it's good because whenever you want to show up for clients or you don't feel like
yeah.
being the chronic, I don't lead with that in my life. I don't, if I had it my
Yeah,
way, I wouldn't have it. Right. So,
exactly.
but it also is the thing that's always there. It's like your shadow. You can't pretend like it's not there. You have to
No,
deal with it.
no, don't waste your pain. I think
Yeah.
that our darkest moment or transformation comes from our darkest moments and from pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that's the price of the wisdom.
I think so too. I think
But
so
what we
too.
choose to do within the world is kind of on us.
Yeah. Yep. What if we'd have never been through any of this? Would we be sitting where we're at today? Would you be doing a podcast?
Probably not. Yeah. Or I'd be doing a
Exactly.
podcast on, I don't know, fashion or something. Not that they're wrong with fashion, but
Fashion.
probably not as much impact. Well, where can people find
Exactly.
you? Where can people find your book? Tell us the name of your book, where people can find more about you and
Yes.
your work.
Oh, I would love it. It's on Amazon. It's called The Rise Back: Reclaiming Life After Suicide, Loss, Pain, and Silence. Amazon or Barnes and Noble online, and you can find me on Instagram. And it's Tiffany with an E in my name, Tiffaney, which
Okay.
is spelled kind of different. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of the places.
Great. And we'll link them in the show notes too. I just wanted people to be able to grab it who are listening in the
Yeah,
car.
I would
Well,
love
thank you
it.
so much. Do you have any like
Oh,
final parting
you.
words?
Oh, I can't think of anything. Just don't waste your pain. Don't waste your pain. Don't waste your suffering. Make something good out of it.
I love that. I love that. So I think those are fantastic parting words. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for joining us today and sharing your very personal and impactful story. And thanks for sharing the resources. I'll get with you to link those as well for people.
Yes.
And thank you to everyone here for joining in. We'll be back in 2 more weeks with more stories of success. Please be sure to rate, review, and share this podcast. It helps us so much. So until then, keep bouncing back. If these stories of strength and comeback hit home, you'll want to hear what's next. Click the video on screen to keep learning from our incredible guests on how to bounce back and thrive.